where you want to start. Get my microphone ready. Keeping it humble.
Love it.
All right. So, well, peace. So you feeling good? We already talked about that. But okay. And before, so the sun doesn't, you got me these gifts, and so we want to get into this right here. This is Edwin and Enrique Noreña Castillo with pink bourbon, mosto, and passion fruit. This is Armenia and Castillo, Colombia. It's from there. It's got the flavors of passion fruit, guava, peach candy, and watermelon. This little waves. So tell me about this. I'll actually, before I do interviews, I actually get into people's interviews that they did before. And so I got into, I just was listening to the one that you did recently. It was like the sommelier. It was somebody who was a sommelier, and then the other person, Trujillo, something like that. The people, the name. What is the name of it? Is North Carolina something? Yeah. The podcast you on. Yeah. And so they were talking about that, I think.
Yeah. Oh, him in general. We've been working with him for like
Enrique.
years.
Edwin.
Yeah, he's from Colombia. We've been working with him for about 3 years. One of his coffees is what helped us win Micro Roaster of the Year in 2022. His nickname given to him by his dad is AlQuimista, because he does really wonderful work with like different fermentation processes and really looks at like the beer industry and the wine industry to see what he can learn in processing for coffee. And right now, like one of his main interests is how fermentation affects the gut. And so, I mean, we already know that with like kimchi and like, fermented fruits. And so he's looking to see how it correlates to coffee as well.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting when you said that. Is that something that is kind of... Oh, you can hold this too, by the way. Okay. Is that something that's kind of rare in the in the industry?
I feel like it's starting to get more and more common, especially in Colombia. Colombia is like a country that for the longest time has been known for like quality coffee, but also like very classic washed. And so one of the cool things about these fermentation processes is that you're able to like elevate the cup score. So when you're grading coffee green and then you roast it, and then usually like for me as a coffee buyer, I will grab a sample from a coffee producer and then I roast it. I assess the green coffee just to see if there's any defects on the green coffee. And then I'll roast it, I'll cup it. And the cupping process is essentially just ground coffee in an open bowl, and then you add water to it. You skim it, you slurp it. That's pretty fun. People are just like staring at you like, what are you doing? But essentially what you're doing there is you're scoring the coffee on a 80 to 100 scale. So anything below 80 is not considered specialty. And so pretty much any coffees from like 80 to maybe 83, 84 are coffees that are like kind of classic, washed, chocolatey, nutty. Anything above that is kind of, I would say maybe like 85 to 87 is like, getting a little bit more dynamic. And then anything like 90 plus, those coffees are like telling a story essentially with like what they're providing in the cup and like in terms of like cleanliness, sweetness, and the notes that you're writing down. So when we're cupping these coffees, you're scoring based off of this, and you're trying to be as objective as possible, but we're all humans and we all have preferences, so that's kind of impossible. But we try our hardest. And so then the cool thing of taking all of that into account is that, climate change is real, and there are coffee varieties that aren't necessarily like as resilient and as resistant to like coffee leaf rust or, just the effects of climate change. And so they've been creating more and more varieties that are more resilient, but the cupping score isn't as high. And so Castillo is one of those. And it was created by the Colombian Federation of Coffee to create something that is, going to last. But the cup score isn't by itself, like if you were to like do a wash process, it wasn't scoring as high as like a pink Bourbon, which pink Bourbon is another variety. And that one just is very tropical in flavor, like guava, just think anything pink. And so what Edwin's been doing is, and what a lot of producers have been looking into doing, is how to manipulate the flavor at the end through processing. And so you're still taking the innate flavors of the coffee bean, but allowing, like, the mosto is essentially a term that is taken from the wine industry. And so coffee is a cherry.
Right.
And so when you take the cherries off the tree, you put them in these like plastic bags, also known as like hermetic bags. And when there's no oxygen in the bag, it starts to inflate and these juices start to create. And it's out of, kind of like when you put fruit together and you just let it sit, eventually like it starts decomposing.
Right.
And so that's the juice, that's the mosto. And so they realized that there are natural like yeast and bacteria in that mosto. It's all like science. It's really cool. And so they're using that mosto from the pink Bourbon cherries to then use it to ferment, like anaerobically ferment the Castillo cherries. But in this one, it's not the full cherries. They've pulped a little bit of the like skin off. Edwin likes the black honey like the most. Like that's his favorite style of processing. He feels like he gets the most dynamic flavors out of that processing style. On top of adding that like that mosto, and then to that mosto he'll add like a wine yeast sometimes.
Okay.
And so yeah, and then like it says passion fruit reduction, so then he'll also add like a reduced version of passion fruit. Like he'll buy the runts from like places that sell to grocery stores. And those runts are the ones that get rejected by the grocery stores because they don't look as pretty and they're like smaller. But not only are they still good, like they're probably better because they're smaller and they have more sugars. And so he uses those and like boils them down to like a reduction and then puts them in the tanks with, so it's like a long process, but I don't know, hopefully you'll enjoy drinking it.
yeah, definitely. Is he has he already like reached this area of like any other like basically is this something sorry yeah, and I talk low too, so is this something like is this something, what I already asked, is it a new process in and of itself, but is his work, is it something new that's reaching this area, you think?
Yeah, I think worldwide, actually. I think, honestly, like this is the first year that we competed in coffee competitions. So Mariah, who works at Coco Cinnamon, she's our director of retail. She competed in the U.S. coffee, Brewers Cup. And she used one of his coffees. And pretty much, I would say, if not all, there were so many Colombian coffees that were like anaerobically fermented, and like, so I think it's already like
starting to take over.
It's starting to take over, and there's so many articles out there right now about like cherry picking, which is, obviously pun intended, but just about sustainability. But this isn't anything new. Like this is one of the things that for us at Little Waves, it took us a while to get on the train of these like anaerobic fermentations because it felt like a trend at first, and I was like, I didn't trust it, right? I was like, I didn't understand, like, is this coming from roasters or is this coming from producers? And like, is this just a fad that's gonna die out? And then I started really understanding it from the perspective of climate change and sustainability. And then we met Edwin, and that's when everything kind of clicked for me in understanding the Edwin. And then there's another importer company called Forest Coffee that also kind of explained how different fermentation processes could help, community producers like up their score and get better prices for their coffee.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to this. Okay. Well, I'm sure it's really quiet, so this is a good thing. But I'm looking forward to this. I'm gonna be honest with you. I never really like get by the full beans and stuff like that. I've never had a cupping experience. I'm not really a coffee I'm not in. When you talk about the coffee stuff, I'm just like, whoa, that's a whole world.
Yeah.
And it's very intricate. Yeah. And you're a Q Arabica grader. You got certified for a Q Arabica grading. And I was listening to you talking about how the test, it's like 20 some tests, and you have to, taste for this, that, and the third. And I don't know, the whole thing is just, it's a world. It's really intricate, and there's a lot of, like you said, science behind it. And I just think it's pretty amazing, and I'm looking forward to getting into figuring out. So I gotta get this grounded. Yeah. And we're gonna have to figure this out.
Yeah, no worries.
About
I'll guide you.
What is best, like grind. I know there's fine, and then there's if you want it. I heard what's his name? I heard your husband talking about the ways in which because he's your brewer at home apparently, like talking about the different ways in which how you brew it in particular for whatever you want. But yeah, I gotta get into that. But this was good. I'm looking forward to it. When I was listening to it, I was like, yeah, we can put it away so the sun doesn't. Yeah. I have to get into that. But yeah, okay. So that's just something that's gonna. Is it already in cocoa cinnamon?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
on the site and everything.
Mhm. Yeah, we have like something pretty big happening next week with it. So next week being June 4th, June 5th, something like that. Yeah. I can't quite say yet, but
oh, that's fair.
But yeah. Eventually, the cat will be out of the bag and people will know.
Huh. Okay. Yes. Oh, introduction.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so yeah, I tend to forget that too. So I'll just introduce myself since I got it right now. But I'm Is Yukawa, artist. I don't know if you know much about me like that,
I don't actually.
Yeah, so this is like
me, to know more.
Me telling you, yeah. So I'm an artist. I create art on in many different ways: graphic design, web design, music. Mm-hmm. We got that in common: music, film, videography, visual. Okay. My ultimate goal is to get into creating films or short films to start with. And yeah, I'm just a storyteller through all of those formats and mediums. Whatever I can get my hand on, I'm telling the story through that. And I'll incorporate different elements. Say, like, with my music, I'll incorporate, like, merch. I design the merch. Yeah. I'll design the cover arts, of course, everything, the visuals. Just getting my hands on whatever I can in order to tell the story that needs to be told. And I want to get into, like I said, filmmaking in order to tell other people's story as well, especially the people who don't feel like they have the voices, or their stories aren't told in the way that it should be told, or whatever, misrepresentation and all that. Mm-hmm. So that's what I do, and it's based in my spiritual practices, spirituality, my connection with my ancestors. Mm-hmm. So all this work is really just rooted in working with my ancestors, in spirit and whatever idea of God, multiple ideas of God, honestly. So yeah, that's what I do. Based in North Carolina. Born and raised in North Carolina, based in southeastern North Carolina, Goldsboro.
Okay.
Little town or city. And yeah, I'm always in the Triangle though, and just all across North Carolina, just tapping in with the different communities and people. And that's it.
So you drove from Goldsboro today?
Yes, I drove from Goldsboro today.
Wow.
But see, I'm always up here. I wasn't come up here anyway. Okay. Like, I literally am always up here. I should live up here, but I'm tapping into some things back home right now. Yeah. So yeah. Okay, you.
All right, me. So my name's Areli Barrera Grodski. That always feels so like, what's the word? You're like Areli Barrera Grodski.
Oh yeah. No, you gotta roll the R and work out.
I know.
Areli Barrera
Grodski.
Like, oh, wow.
I know. It just feels very like Germanic and like, yeah, I mean, it's Polish. Actually. It's Polish. Okay. It just feels hard, you know, like.
I like it. I learned the German language, so.
Yeah, it's Polish technically. Too, yeah. That's from Leon.
Yes.
But yeah, let's see. I'm co-owner of Little Waves Coffee Roasters and Cocoa Cinnamon in Durham, North Carolina, with my partner Leon Grodski Barrera. Let's see. I was born in Tijuana, in Mexico, and moved to San Antonio when I was 6. Grew up around, grew up in a very entrepreneurial family. My dad used to, he actually grew up in a very agrarian family. So he's from Nayarit, where the Huichol and the Cora reside. The Huichol people and the Cora people. Cora. So Nayarit is close to Jalisco. And so we have family there still. And he grew up in a very small town of Nayarit that is very agricultural based. And so he grew up like farming and farming peanuts, corn, rice. I don't remember what else. But he eventually moved to Tijuana to find a different path for himself. And that's where he kind of learned the trade of like wholesaling textiles and also making textiles from Mexico, like falsa blankets, leather goods. And yeah, so he worked in a factory, and then he learned how to like open one up. And then he eventually started opening up craft shops where he would sell his, the things that he was making. But for a while he was like a wholesaler, and so he would drive from Tijuana to all over the US and then up to Canada as well. And he would go to ferias or fairs and set up there. And so I kind of grew up in that world of like, if it wasn't a flea market in San Antonio, it was like a feria somewhere. Like we would sometimes go to Florida. So I got to go to like Disney World as a kid, like doing road trips. Like I kind of grew up like doing a lot of road trips. Okay. And I think we have that gene. Like I know definitely me and all my siblings have this gene of being able to just like drive like cross country. Like yeah, like it doesn't bother us as much. And I think like that's something that is very rooted in my dad. I think it brings him a lot of joy and a lot of energy to like be driving somewhere, Yeah. But that's kind of like the world that I grew up in terms of understanding like entrepreneurial stuff. But I think that's kind of like any immigrant story in a way. Like we all kind of just hustle to make it happen. And so just like we moved to San Antonio. My dad is one of 10. He's the second oldest. And he helped all of his siblings like open up craft shops, or at least like, like get started. And we moved to San Antonio because his oldest sister lived there, and she's going to help us get papers. And so we moved there, and then when I was 10, we ended up moving to Cherokee, North Carolina. So I grew up on the, people call it the reservation, but it's technically like their land that they bought back. Yeah. And yeah, that was a very interesting, fascinating, didn't really feel out of place just because culturally it felt very homey, you know, like very close to home in terms of way of existing.
Is it because it was so like close knit, like, you know, that same like community type feel?
Yeah. And yeah, so he moved us there because he wanted to open up some craft shops there and was just seeing it as a more viable possibility in Cherokee. And so we moved there when I was 10 and then grew up there pretty much. And then I moved to Albuquerque for a year, kind of with the intention of graduating from a high school there so I could get the lottery scholarship.
Lottery scholarship?
Yeah, so New Mexico has this lottery scholarship that if you graduate from any high school there, you get like a free ride to college as long as you're getting like good grades. But I moved there too late, so I didn't make it. So I lived there for about a year, and then it was just too expensive to live there as an 18-year-old, you know.
Okay. I was going to say, like, how did that work?
Yeah, like, I ended up going to school, like, part-time.
You moved out on your own?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I moved out with my best friend at the time, and we stayed with her family. Okay. So we were 17, and then we graduated, and then we got our place of our own. And then I had a job that was paying me really good for, like, but it was, like, a graveyard shift, and I was getting paid better because I was bilingual. It was like a phone operator. It killed my soul. I was like, wow, I could never do this ever again.
It was like so robotic and just like
yeah. But it was good experience to, like, you know your bounds, know your limits, know what you don't want in life, how you don't want to feel. So once I quit that, then it was like downhill from there. I was like, well, just because I couldn't afford to like keep paying rent you know. Yeah, so I ended up moving back. Also, my nephew had just been born, and I really wanted to be there for it. So yeah, I ended up finishing school at like a community college in Western Carolina, and then transferred to UNC, and that's how I kind of got to know this area. And then Leon and I met in 2004 in Cherokee, and then 2009, once I graduated from UNC, I moved back to Cherokee and started working at the coffee shop that he and his partner at the time owned. And then this weird cosmic window of time happened where a good friend of ours took their life, and Leon's relationship ended, and I don't know, it's just like this weird chaotic whirlwind of things, and in the like eye of the storm was this tiny little window of love. It was like, if you don't take it now, like it probably won't ever happen. And so it happened out of chaos, which is kind of beautiful.
Definitely.
And then we moved here in 2011. And all with the goal of, to Durham, all with the goal of opening up Cocoa Cinnamon and starting our business here. We started with very little money, actually no money, like $75 maybe, and like no credit, but some experience and grit and determination and just the stubbornness to will it to life, and a lot of community support, a lot of family support. Leon used to work in film and production, and so he kind of learned how to make things out of nothing. And so he has a lot of skill sets that really helped us.
You had And you guys had the community to be able to help you, like the resources and there with them to bring it together.
Yeah. I mean, that took time to build it, obviously, because we were new to Durham. But I think that like what we saw was like people. I can't do it. People saw us like people saw us on a bike. And I think they just like saw us pushing each other and like.
Oh yeah, you guys will start on the bike.
Yeah. And I think just like through that, like through seeing us actually hustle and like trying to make it happen. I think also in the neighborhood that we moved into, which was like a block away from where we were living, it felt prime and it felt like the neighborhood wanted it. And we did Kickstarter, which was kind of in itself like a kind of like a market survey in a way. Like, is this gonna succeed or not? You know?
They want this.
Yeah. And I mean, it was successful. We had like 604 backers, mostly from the community, some from afar, which was crazy, but cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, like even just like even just like people coming by and like helping us like clean the walls, you know, as we were building out the new location or the first location. Like lending us the right tools and helping us like with our Kickstarter like backer rewards, like, you know, helping us screen print T-shirts.
Doing the floors. I remember you said there was a Durham artist that did the floor in the beginning at the Gear Street, the Foster and Gear, and then like the whole something about it was an old gas station one time, and then a dance studio or something, or yoga studio,
like a Pilates studio
Pilates, and then there was like this little, I don't know, some metal framing or whatever that was kind of like carved. So different artists within the community basically helping out too to create the 100%. Aesthetic.
Yeah. A lot of people's hands went into the first location, which we're so eternally grateful for. And like the fact that some of them were willing to trade their labor for like shop credit later on, you know, knowing that like we didn't really have the financial means to pay them. But like if we needed to pay them, we would, like, and like even that, like if they needed the payment, like they were willing to wait for us to open up and to pay them, you know. So yeah, like I just feel like that's so rare to find nowadays. Maybe
definitely. I think back then it was, you know, technology has done its thing on us. It's done a doozy. As far as like people really being the hand-to-hand community type stuff, it's like, it's just distance that has been slowly happening. So I can see how now it may be a little different for people to start out and have that kind of thing structure, maybe depending on where you are anyway.
I think so.
But the community aspect, when I first went to the Cocoa Cinnamon, I went to the one on Durham Chapel Hill Boulevard. Is that what it's called? Chapel Hill Road. So there was like a Cocoa Cinnamon has definitely changed.
Oh my God, since the pandemic.
I mean,
100%.
Definitely changed, and also like grew also, of course. And that's the thing though. I think like the branding and everything like that is different. So I want you to like kind of speak to that, because I know that in the beginning when I first visited, like I was saying on Chapel Hill Road, it was like I know when we first walk in, it was like a whole ancestral space. Community ancestral space, and you know, I would always pay homage to that. And then there was there was community artists in the community had their art up and all that type of stuff. And so now though it's a different type of vibe going on. Little Ways Roaster is like, you know, it's taking over, and it as it's supposed to, as it should, which is, you know, commend you on that. Y'all got the 2022 roaster of the year for Roast Magazine. Micro roaster. Okay. So I got an award for that. So you really just been pouring in, like expanding your business pretty much. So anyways, Little Ways Roaster is there. That's the ancestral altar now. And then we got the branding is like, you know, the main focus, like it's just like becoming more of less of just like a it still is a community center because that's basically what the cafe is based on. Any kind of cafe is based off the community and people coming together in the community. But it's more of it's becoming an actual like name itself more than just that community. But it's still got it. So tell me about how this, what is this, what's going on here, and how's that been for you? Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
I'm curious to hear like how that felt to you.
You wanna
Like
go first?
honest. Yeah.
I felt like, this is honest, right?
Yeah.
Raw. I felt like you guys were more focused on the business than the community aspect. I felt like that was taking over more than like the whole. So I was like, well, there's like this. You talk about the coziness of the warmth that you're used to from where your hometown and all that type of stuff, and in Cherokee and stuff. It's just and that's basically from looking at your interview. That's where y'all started. Both you and Leon, y'all were big on that, and so it was like I don't know. I was like, well, what happened?
Yeah.
What happened is like, it was kind of like a culture shock in a way, because y'all had created this culture, and then y'all created this another culture. So it's kind of like this disconnect, but also it's like, this is still cocoa cinnamon, but it's just, it was like, dang, why take that away, and why, why is the altar not there? Why is this not there? Why are these changes taking place? That's more so.
Yeah.
Where I was like, okay, what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. We did have to kind of focus on the business during the pandemic. So that's honestly when all the changes happened. The murals that went up during the pandemic kind of happened during the pandemic because it was the perfect time to do it, in the sense of we were shut down inside. We weren't letting anyone inside, and so timing-wise, it made the most sense, because it's a lot harder to, like, I don't know, have paint fumes while you're running a business, while people are inside. The altar space was a very sad moment for me to have to get rid of it, but we needed the space, because like, honestly, during the pandemic, like, the coffee shops took a huge dive in income, and we didn't let anyone go, and so we still needed to bring in the revenue to, like, keep everybody employed. And so what ended up happening is the roastery kind of started floating the business. And so by doing that, we had to take over some of the space. Right, okay. And so the altar space had to go. But right now, we're in the process of getting a building for the roastery. So it'll move out of that space, which will give more space for that altar space to come back. And we want to build some altar space in the roastery, in the new roastery. Because very similar to you, like, that is, like, work that is really important to me. Like, moving out of Cherokee, I realized how much of a fish out of water I felt spiritually. Because I think that in Cherokee, like spirituality and, like, that energy is there, and it's just like you're absorbing it, and, like, I know that my dreams are a lot more vivid, a lot more lucid, and, like, moving away from there, from that ground, from that earth, from, like, that, just energetically, made me realize how much I took it for granted, and how much I didn't even realize it existed, because I was missing it here, and I was, like, feeling, like, kind of lost. But I feel like, in a way, it was like a blessing in disguise, because it really, like, forced me to get rooted into my own spiritual practice and figure out what that was, and what that kept coming back to is altar building and honoring ancestors, and really connecting, and lineage healing. So yeah.
Okay. Yes, I love that. This will be interesting to see how it unfolds moving forward. But yeah, that makes sense. It is a business at the end of the day, and that was a tough time. I know that 2020 changed everything for me, so I know it would make sense that everything would change there too. So yeah, but yeah, I want to get into this, because I keep looking at it, and
Open it.
let's get into this other gift that you gave me. So this is Resonance Apothecary, plant spirit medicine for the highly sensitive. Hold on. What? So wait, who is this? Is this somewhere in Durham, or is it somebody
No, it's somebody I have, it's Miriam Hasna. She's a Sufi priestess, and I think as I was like searching for, here, I'll hold this while you unbox with me, guys. Yeah, well, I've been like doing my searching for my own spiritual work and like inner healing and inner understanding and reprogramming, and just trying to learn all of the tools and resources for
Bay Area.
Yeah.
They're based in the Bay Area?
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, I like subscribe to her New Earth Mystery School. Yeah. Okay. It's been helpful. I like it. And
part of your toolkit.
Yeah,
Stuff.
it's part of the toolkit. I get a lot of them, and sometimes I save them and don't open them until I don't know. I just like try to trust intuition and be like, this is meant for this person, and then I don't even open it. I don't even know what's inside. So hopefully it's a message that you need.
I believe it is. Definitely. Yes. I just wanted to see if maybe I could smell it. But I love it. Yeah. I'm definitely going to. So, I don't do unboxings and all that. So, what am I supposed to read everything? We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. But this is beautiful, though. The name of it, though, I'll probably link it in the thing.
Sure, yeah.
Her stuff or their stuff is probably on YouTube, or they may have a YouTube channel.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Okay, cool. But this is beautiful. So we do have a gemstone essence, smoky quartz, tranquility, some tea, some incense, right?
Yep.
And then flower essence.
Nice.
Morning glory.
Yeah, those are just tinctures. I like to take them.
So these are like, put them on the temperature.
Yeah.
Okay.
However you want. You can also put it in your water, whatever you want.
I'm looking forward to this. This is going to be interesting.
What's the theme?
The theme is resonance. That's the name of the brand.
Yeah.
Stabilization. So so stabilization, that's the thing. And then the stabilization affirmations.
Yeah.
And it tells you more about the morning glory flower essence. All of these things that you get.
Yeah.
You get the thing in there telling you about it. And we got stabilization affirmations. I am sovereign, and old programs and patterns have no power over me. When I am grounded, I feel peace and wholeness within my body. No one changes my frequency without my permission or consent. Calling my energy back is an act of self-love. I am the master of my own energy and life force. Nice. I love it. Thank you.
Of course.
Yes. Okay. Oh, man. I don't want to mess anything up neither, so we're just going to go like this.
You're good.
Okay. So, have you been back home to California lately?
Let's see, the last time.
I mean, would you consider that home?
California? I mean, Tijuana.
Tijuana?
Yeah.
And Tijuana
it's
is
technically
in
Baja California, so
okay,
it's
yeah.
like, yeah.
I always wanted to visit there.
Yeah.
It's beautiful as far as nature goes and all that type of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Very sacred land.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very coastal. I grew up in Playas de Tijuana. The beach there is stagnant, which is crazy to think about an ocean being stagnant. It feels like a border town. Do you know what I mean by that? Just the energy of a border town.
No, I don't know.
I think it's just like the constant reminder that
Border town.
yeah, because like even the border goes into the ocean, and like you can see the border to the U.S. and then you have Tijuana, and you know for yeah, but then also like just sewage goes into it, and it's just like I don't know, it's just like you can see all of the ugly parts of humanity, you know? Yeah, it feels like stagnant energy. And yet, it's the ocean. Like, how can you... It's hard to say that, you know, about the ocean.
That just speaks to, like, the spiritual work that needs to be done there. Maybe there's like a lot of tapping back in that needs to be done, I suppose.
Yeah.
And connecting, fixing.
Yeah, I mean, Mexico's a colonized country that definitely needs to do a lot of inner work.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, that's just honest. But yeah, okay. So we got into Little Waves a little bit, Cocoa Cinnamon a little bit, and Mamis and Papis. What's going on? So I think your first Fridays you're at somewhere in downtown Durham, or is it?
Yeah. Victoria, actually, who's one of the members, started that with Patrick of Party Illegal, which is another like DJ collective. It's at Ruby's every first Friday, and usually it's like somebody from either collective and a guest. And yeah, it's been really fun. It's been interesting. I don't know if it's like I'm aging or the pandemic just got me so cozy at home.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Probably both.
That's why I haven't. I mean, there's so many things to do out there in life,
Yeah.
and
But it's
like,
also, honestly,
I don't really
think
want
it's
to.
also like, for me, DJing and like the dance floor is kind of like a spiritual practice for me.
Yeah, that too.
And so it's just...
So it's like going to church. It's like you got to do that.
Except it doesn't quite vibe for me there, and I think mostly because I'm like surrounded by really young kids.
Okay.
And again, I'm saying this and I feel like I'm like dating myself here.
I mean,
energetically I feel like it's just not the space, but I think I could probably also do a better job of creating it to be energetically the space that I want it to be.
True.
You know,
you always have the power to will it.
Yeah, I think I just like the pandemic. I think took a lot out of us, and I think it's just like, even though you rest over the weekend, it's still like not enough, because I think you're like catching up on so much stress that was like the pandemic, you know. And at the same time, like, I think a lot of the time, like, a lot of people were able to slow down and rest during the pandemic. I think for us it was the opposite. Like, we had to like turn up the hustle, and like it actually felt like going back to our initial start.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And also like
that's the rebranding.
Yeah. Well, not necessarily rebranding, but just like, well, I guess I'm curious to hear what you mean by that, like in terms of rebranding.
When I think about rebranding, I think of not just like image or logo and like that, but just like a restructuring of how you approach the business, or how it's presented and how people receive it. It's kind of that's what I consider rebranding. So everything had a switch and transition. Like, okay, so now we're doing Little Waves Roasters, and now we're, you know what I mean? That's what I mean by
I think
that.
we definitely did like push energy towards focusing on Little Waves Coffee Roasters, because that was the thing that was like helping us stay afloat, and because people already knew Cocoa Cinnamon. And for the longest time it was also like really hard to get people who knew Cocoa Cinnamon to know that we were roasting coffee. And so that's why we like did a heavy push on Little Waves. But I feel like in terms of the root of our business and our approach, I feel like it's still similar. Like, it's always been intentional decision making and like what we call rooted reverberations. That
I like that. I saw it on your Instagram.
Yeah, it's just the idea of like, the daily actions, and like really thinking through. We are a slow decision making like business. It takes us forever to get things done, which can feel frustrating, but also like I'm glad we take our time to really process and think things through. But yeah, I forgot what the question was.
I don't think there was a question.
Cool.
I don't know though, but we're just flowing. So Leon definitely said something about habit becomes this stagnant. It's like it's just he said it perfectly. That's his. I think he says it a lot. Something about habit and the ritual practice, rather than the root of reverberations. Yeah.
Habit becomes ritual, maybe.
Well, habit just is like stagnant, and then the ritual gives you more the.
It's more intentional. Yeah.
Y'all, you're very intentional business, especially with the Wonder Menu, which I love.
Yeah, that's like our playground. Like we get to have fun. Like we know that it's coming like every quarter or whatever, and we get to like, not reinvent ourselves, but like keep grabbing from our ideas of, what we intend to do with honoring the histories and cultures of coffee, chocolate, tea, spices, human migration, and undoing 500-year cycles of harm, and even just like looking at our current state and looking at patterns and finding those patterns and speaking to them. And I think that is where we get to be artists. I think and it's really cool to do that with our team, like to collaborate with our team, because like right now the menu that we have, most of those drinks were created by a team member, which is kind of cool.
That's very cool. So it's a whole community working, and it ain't just like y'all just doing stuff and people going along with it or whatever. Anyways, the Wonder Menu, can you explain that more in depth? Like what is on the Wonder Menu for people who probably haven't been to Coco Cinnamon and don't know?
Yeah. Let's see. The Wonder Menu. Here.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. I don't want to make you work here. The Wonder Menu. What is the Wonder Menu? The Wonder Menu is a menu that is inspired by magic realism. And it's a menu that is for wanderers, for people who are curious, for people who want to try something different. And like I said, it is our playground, but like, it's like drinks that honor history, cultures, people's stories, honors people. I guess in a way it's our way of being able to tell stories through beverage. And we try to have a variety of types of drinks on the Wonder Menu, because we still try to keep it diverse in that realm. So we'll have like one hot chocolate, we'll have one type of latte, one kind of like, a lot of the times that latte would probably be like with oat milk, just so that anyone can have it. We'll have some kind of tonic or some kind of iced beverage if weather is appropriate.
And the names.
Yeah, and then the names, like right now, I think it's like algorithm is the theme. All kind of stemming from this article about how algorithms of social media, it was about coffee shops and like this person going to coffee shops anywhere in the world, and they all felt the same. They all look the same, and it's because of the algorithm on social media.
Wow.
Like anywhere USA, anywhere whatever, anywhere in the world, it feels like you are in. And so it's interesting because like one of the things that I feel like in the very beginning, our shops, our aesthetic, like I feel like was too not minimalist and like not that. And like we're really proud of that, and I think a lot of people in the industry, well, not a lot of people, it felt like people in the industry like didn't take us seriously because we weren't this like sleek, clean, brand. But yeah, the Wonder Menu is that. It's like
Based on the algorithm right now, the titles are.
Yeah, so it's a name that the person who created the drink gives it, and then we put it into Chat GPT and describe the story that they're trying to tell, and use the title based off of Chat GPT as well.
So that's what this one is about. That's how you.
Yeah, we're kind of putting like the human touch and the AI touch.
Just to play on the whole algorithm aspect of the coffee shops.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's neat. You haven't done that in the past though. It's always been something that someone comes up with, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So and usually I know I heard you speak about how those flavor profiles and the origins and all type of stuff, you're telling the stories of where those particular drinks come from and different historical figures and all type of stuff, like maybe something to be about like some kind of revolutionary, the name will be have that revolutionary included, or maybe some work of art that they did will be incorporated in that name of that particular beverage.
Yeah.
So yeah, and this one, how are you infusing? What are your names? Can you give us like one or two that I haven't seen the current one right now?
Yeah.
Names of the.
I don't remember the AI name for it, but like, you know, somebody who's on our team who's from Venezuela created the Venezuelan Gatorade. And it's like a lemonade with piloncillo, or they call it something else, but it's the same thing because every Latin American country has a form of piloncillo, which is like kind of like brown sugar, but you know those cones in like the Mexican stores, or it's like boiled down sugar that still has a lot of like minerals in it.
Okay.
And espresso. So it's like the Venezuela Gatorade. Let me see. I feel like I have to look and give you actual names because
like
I think it's on our apps. Let's see.
App. Y'all got an app?
I guess through Square, whatever it is.
Okay.
Let's see. How you doing?
How am I doing?
Yeah.
I'm excellent. How are you?
Just checking.
How's the sun treating you? It's good.
I told you.
You're basking?
We're
actually not even supposed to be in the sun at this time of the day.
Right? I know. It's like, what is it?
It's like the worst.
Smoking like 20 cigarettes at once or something.
Oh, really?
Something.
Hey, man. Every once in a while, you got to smoke them things. So sometimes you got to binge on them. Yeah, today's that day. Cheat day. Guilty pleasure.
Maybe today's the day I get skin cancer.
Don't say. Okay, so now you went too far. You went too far. I'm gonna leave you right there with him.
Just
nah.
Let's see. Little ways. Do you have
Venezuelan
a favorite
Gatorade?
drink?
Oh, the Dr. Derm. I always go to Coco and get the Dr. Derm if I need that. Like, you know, I think I just this year tried it without the espresso. I think that was possible.
Oh.
I don't know, because that's what it is. Yeah. Because that's what it. Yeah, maybe without. Yeah, decaf. Yeah, I did decaf Dr. Derm for the first time this year. But I always just go there and get that, and yeah, I am good for the whole day with that. I'm a lightweight with anything though, so everything affects me. Like, I get the effect of everything full force.
All right,
you got it.
Look. Yeah.
And then what else? I like to get the hibiscus tea. That's always iced. That's always a go-to. What is it called? It was called something else now, but now it's called
we called it amalgamation.
Amalgamation. Yeah. Love it.
All right, so one of them is Mi Querida Patria de Voces Inocentes.
Long names. Sometimes they're like novels, like
novel.
You said.
Yeah, it's like usually it's a novel of a drink. So we'll usually on the menu, like the physical menu, will highlight or bolden like 2 words so that they can order it that way.
Yeah.
So maybe like this one would be called Querida Patria or something. But this one's a Salvadorian horchata iced latte with cinnamon and nutmeg. It does have peanuts in it. And espresso. It's really good.
Oh, I want that. I love horchata. Yo.
And this is Salvadorian style. So this was created by one of our team members, Leslin. Let's see. and then El Sol es para todos.
Wait. What was the name in English? That name you just said. What is that?
Yeah. My dear country of innocent voices.
And what is this about?
Honestly, this one is Leslie's, and so this one is based off of honoring her home country of El Salvador. About the innocent voices, I'm not really sure. I'll need to look. I'm horrible, y'all, because I'm like over the wristry. I'm not as involved with Cocoa Cinnamon. That's fine. I am, but I'm not.
Of course. Yeah. So they're just.
But I think Leon usually publishes a blog on Little Waves Coffee's website. Detailing each drink. So let's take a look at that, because
and so
wait for the blog to go to waste.
Each of the members, the baristas and stuff, they create them based off of them, like not each of them, but
some of them. We'll pitch the theme of the menu, and then based off of the theme, people can like pitch their drink ideas and the story behind it.
Beautiful. Yeah. And so how does that relate to you about to read it too? This might answer the question. You might find the answer in there, but how does it relate to the whole theme of the algorithm, the coffee algorithm, coffee houses being... You know what? It's crazy because I go to marketplaces and I feel like this is not real. This whole space is... You ever feel like that? Yeah. I've got a lot of people that said that they feel that way too. Yeah. It just feels unreal. So it's like an algorithm. Social media has really created this whole algorithm in real life of everything. It's just skews.
So here's the blog, which I'll encourage everyone to go read at littlewaves.coffee under news. It's called Algorithm, Tool or Tyranny. It's the warm weather wonder menu.
Warm weather wonder menu.
Tool or Tyranny.
Tool or Tyranny. Very thoughtful, intentional.
Cocoa Cinnamon, the name is in part an homage to the intermingling of coffee and spices at some of the first coffee houses and recipes in history. To this day, across the Middle East and parts of the Mediterranean, people brew coffee using traditional brewing vessels such as a jezva or a ibrik or a briki, brewing coffee and spices together. Many of the earliest coffee houses were founded in places such as Cairo, Damascus, and Aleppo, where the western end of ancient spice routes and early places to drink coffee intersected. Coffee, the drink, spread as Muslims coming to and from Mecca first encountered it in Yemen, and like many travelers who encountered something they loved on trips, want to bring that home, or that experience home. So let's see.
So talking about the origins of the coffee houses and how it became modern, how it modernized, the modern version of it here.
Yeah. At the very top of the blog, it's going into a little bit of the discussion around the design of each location, and kind of tapping into that article that I talked about, how like the algorithm of like what a location should look like or what a coffee shop should look like according to Instagram, whereas we're kind of the antithesis of that, or at least we hope we are. So Mi Querida Patria de Voces Inocentes by Leslin, and the ChatGPT title was Dreams of Tomorrow or Chata. So you see the like connection of like a deeply intentional, rooted in culture versus like a very fluffy, you know, what is it?
Oh, red birds, cardinals, ancestral.
Love it.
Yeah.
Although it's not really going into the story, it's just telling you the drink.
So I think it's just saying that, hey, like this was the meaningful and cultural substance of this particular drink and where it comes from and all that type of stuff, the history being told through the title, and the chat GPT watering it down, similar to the meaningful and cultural like full of culture type of coffee houses and where you all have it. the juxtaposition of that as well in like the way that people, like, you can go to a Starbucks or something like that. It's the same thing, and it's just like it's watered down, like Matrix type of vibe.
Exactly.
So it's just showing it in the titles and the way that you really bring out the meaning and the story of the drinks with the title.
Yeah, I'll send you the link to the blog. Maybe you can link it on the
For sure.
on the thing. But I think it's worth reading the rest of the top of that part of the blog, just because it does go into like why we went down this rabbit hole with this theme.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think each one, I'll ask Leslyn personally, like, why she decided to name it that. Sometimes it's like we'll workshop it with them too, because sometimes it's like their titles will be just as close to like the ChatGPT version. Yeah, I'm like, dig deeper. Dig deeper. What are you really trying to say? Which is kind of cool, because it really does get them to like open up and like to dig deeper into like, why are you pitching this drink and why is it important? You know, like, I think it was important for her because it's Salvadorian and she wanted to show her roots. Yeah. You know, I think that's the really wonderful part of the Wonder Menu, is like being able to explore different storytellers at a time.
For sure. I was wondering, like, for the future, if you were gonna if you ever thought about doing like having bringing together Mamis and Papis and cocoa cinnamon into some kind of thing, because I was back to that Mamis and Papis. You're a DJ, so you know, cumbia mostly.
No, not necessarily.
A little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. I got into DJing because I was a WXYC DJ at Chapel Hill. And I think Carborough, at the time that I was in school there, I think had a really beautiful like dance scene, underground. Yeah, I know.
I like the area though, Carborough and Chapel Hill.
And then when I moved back to Cherokee, it was like the opposite. Like, we would have to go to like Asheville or whatever to like go out. And like, I think in Silva there were some places that opened, which is like also kind of like a neighboring, it's kind of like Chapel Hill and Carborough, Silva and Cullowhee. Western Carolina's in Cullowhee, and then Silva's like right before it, so they like it's kind of like that vibe, but Silva's a little bit, actually I think it's a very similar vibe. Cullowhee's probably just less Chapel Hill.
I've never heard of those.
Anyway. I was just like recognizing how a lot of the DJs were men, and like how like they just didn't really fucking pay attention to, excuse my language, they didn't pay attention to like the vibes on the dance floor, you know, like it wasn't about the dancer, it was like about their selection. And it's like that's cool if it's good. If your selection is good, but they just like were like cutting the music off too soon, and like the transitions were like so bad, and like it just wasn't meant for dancers, you know what I mean? Like like usually, like, even if your music selection sucks, like at least let somebody dance from one song to another. And I know that that's like a learning process, and like I give that grace, but it was just like one really bad DJ after the next, mostly male, actually all male. And I was like, I feel like there needs to be more room for like, you know, female DJs. And then when I moved to Durham, there was that, and that was great, and I started DJing. And then 2016 came about, and me and Michelle, who's a tattoo artist, Bacon Butter. She also did all the murals, the outside mural at the Gear Street location, and the inside murals at the Chapel Hill Road location. She also did our logo. she's also a great artist.
You're an in-house artist.
We love her to pieces. She and I just started talking about how to create safe spaces for the Latina community, but not just us, but like all like people from the diaspora and like just all folks of color, like to be seen and represented on the dance floor, and especially as Trump as president, and like all the shit that we were hearing from him coming out of his mouth, and like being repeated by like citizens, and you know, just like obviously like Durham is a little bit more of a safe space, but you know, North Carolina is a red state, and so it was just, you know, it was our way of being able to process everything. And we created Mamis and the Papis, and then just like slowly started inviting our friends to DJ with us, even though they had never DJed before. I was like, I'll show you the basics. You have great music selection. That's all it takes, you know? And like for me, it was also more of a like wanting to play music that we heard growing up in our mom's kitchens, you know, like wanting that nostalgia of like that blanket of nostalgia of coziness and healing and liberation, and just the space to process shit, you know, and to cry on the dance floor, and to feel proud of your roots and unapologetically be you. And so we started that, and I also like was very intentional about, because DJing is more of a offering and a spiritual practice for me. Not DJing, but like music selection, I guess, and
sound selection.
Yeah, sound selection and space creation. I think that was something that I only wanted to do if I had the capacity to do it. And so I wasn't trying to like get booked and busy, you know, with Mamis and the Papis. So we started off at Arcana on Thursdays at like 8 to 12 or something, or 8 to 11. So it was like friendly for all folks who were like going to school, or who were teachers, or, you know, who could come do kind of an earlier party. And then we would fundraise. And that was most of those parties were actually to raise funds for somebody in the community or an organization that we believed in. And then that kind of stopped once the pandemic happened, and then slowly but surely Victoria started actually becoming more active as a DJ, and started shifting her focus on like DJing more parties. And so she kind of led the way of doing this like mood board dance party with Patrick. And so it's been interesting to find our like legs again, I guess, after the pandemic, and find new venues to kind of create that space again. It's hard.
Yeah, no, I imagine so.
It takes time. I think it takes time to do the rooted work of building a connection with the space. And I don't know, it's still something I like think about in terms of which space is the best space for that. But right now we're just kind of taking it day by day. We're all like really busy, and just don't want Mamis and the Papis to become a chore, you know, for anyone, or to become a stressful like thing. It should be bringing joy. That's the intention of it.
Not just to like everyone else, but to you all. You gotta have it first, so I get it.
Yeah.
True.
But yeah, we play baile funk, we play cumbias, we play norteñas, we play like
Música mexicana.
Yeah.
I'm really into corridos, tumbados.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, like that is like my soul just comes alive. Like Junior H. I don't know, his name is probably pronounced a little different, but Junior H is what how I pronounce it. But yeah, you know him? Are you familiar with him?
No.
Oh, he's like one of the younger folks. He's like blowing up right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I feel like corridos tumbados are like not my generation, but I do love it. Like when I hear it,
I didn't realize it was like younger folks. I just loved the music. I was like, and I know there's Grupo Frontera and stuff like that. They kind of still do that same kind of like sound, but the corridos, you know, the content is a little different for them and corridos tumbados, but still.
Yeah. No, I think it's beautiful. I think that's why I really love music. I think it's definitely a gift. I think culturally, like what music creates, you know, especially with the youth, like the youth really are the like culture creators. Yeah, it's fascinating. But yeah, we love to play it all. Like we have you know, Victoria is of Greek descendancy, and Stephanie, who goes by Maduro, is Dominican and Nicaraguan descendancy, and you know, Michelle Bacon Butter is Chicana, native and white, and you know, me being from Mexico, and it's been fun also because my prima has been coming, my cousin, and she was also born in Tijuana, but her family moved to San Diego, and so she has a lot of like the nostalgia that she carries is from San Diego, and she brings that San Diego vibe hard when she comes to like DJ with us.
Yeah, I saw on her, I was cruising around on the gram, and I saw her profile, and like, yeah, she seems like she's really rooted in that culture and able to, I was just curious what her sets sound like. So I might come to the Friday thing. I might not though, but I might, you know what I mean? Yeah. I'm a hermit.
Yeah. I understand. Yeah, Maduro is DJing that one. I think that one's gonna be a really good one.
This one? Okay.
Yeah. That I think this one is gonna be a lot of ancestral healing energy. So maybe you should come, even for an hour.
Okay. And
before it gets too crowded.
Right. And your prima, she is Crunchy something.
Yeah, La Crunchy. That's her name came from. Sorry, y'all. Her name came from the Hot Cheeto girl.
Okay.
Yeah, La Crunchy 619.
Whatever moves you, you know.
Right? I know, inspiration all over.
You gotta have a unique name though,
yeah.
And so whatever is unique to you, whatever moves you, you know, go with that. Nobody else got that name, cause that's you.
Except for the Hot Cheeto girl.
Except for the Hot Cheeto girl, yeah. So okay, I grew up in a space where I know we probably like at an hour now, so we're gonna wrap it up. But like, I grew up in a trailer park where it was like just was Hondurans, Mexicans, Venezuelans, I want to say, just a whole bunch of different people.
Mm-hmm.
And like, so I was exposed to a lot of like, you know, Spanish culture. Well, Spanish speaking culture and all that. I don't know if that's the way to say it, but and just where I'm from, it's just a lot of people that are of the Latin that are either immigrants or come from, you know, or from the diaspora. Mm-hmm. So you know, my first girlfriend, she was from Las Zacatecas in Mexico. And like, so she put me onto this stuff back in the day when in high school, of like, it's like some, I don't know what they had, pointy boots.
Tribal.
Yes.
I fucking love tribal.
You love tribal? Yeah, that she put me onto that, as well as some stuff that back in the day, hardstyle, that was really big too. You know what it is?
No, I don't know that one.
Hardstyle music?
Yeah.
It's like a type of dance where they just like stomping. It's like, I don't know. And they just, it's like they're walking, but like on a thing where they're like stomping with it. It's really cool.
They're like.
Yeah, and it's like.
They're like cockroaches.
Yeah.
Playing a game.
Yeah, stomp. So it's like that, but it's really good stuff. And back in the day, I was really into it. But yeah, and so I got me some pointy boots just to like pay homage, and they're like white and gold, and they're fly. I got them straight up from Texas. Nice. And yeah, I just wanted to know if you knew it. Like, you just told me, yeah, you love Toriba.
Yeah. That's from Monterrey, which Monterrey tends to be like a huge creator of a lot of these like genres. So like tribal, and I think even like corridos tumbados are coming out of Monterrey. It seems to be like the genre generator.
Right.
Yeah. When I've, huh? Oh yeah, no, I always love throwing some tribal in there. What I love about it is that it's mixing like almost like house techno, like tech house, with like indigenous like roots. So it's like you hear like some of the like kind of more like Aztec Mayan like sounds mixed in with like this kind of tech house, but then also kind of this like, it all almost sounds a little dark too, which also is like talking to my darketa side, my goth side. Tribal is my jam.
For sure. You gotta send me some, like, you got a playlist of tribal?
I need to create one actually. On SoundCloud. It's honestly, it's hard to find good stuff on like Spotify or anything like that, because I feel like a lot of the music that I end up finding, you know who has good where to find some good stuff is on Bandcamp.
Yeah, Bandcamp got some. I really gotta get,
yeah. It's like SoundCloud, Bandcamp, but Spotify just has like, I don't know, generic tribal. Like, it's good, but it's, I don't know.
Okay. You're gonna have to start sending me some of that tribal of you when you find some good stuff. But yeah, okay. I think we can wrap it up there. We touched on everything. Everything pretty much. Oh, where does your name come from? And why Mamis and Papis? Real quick. Why Mamis and Papis, and where does your DJ name Birdgherl come from?
We were throwing out so many different names between me and Michelle, like just trying to come up with like a cute like collective name. And then I was thinking about Mamas and the Papas, and I was like, what about Mamis and the Papis? I was like, how do we like turn Mamas and the Papas like in Spanish and queer and non-binary, and at the same time by like challenging the concept of Mamis and Papis.
There's like no Papis per se in the area.
Yeah, and
but it is if you want to be called that, identify as it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so
I like that.
Yeah, that's where it came from. And then Birdgherl, I had a dream this morning that I was flying, and I was like, I bet you I was a freaking bird when I was in a past life. I was like, what is my like not obsession, but like just curiosity, like deep curiosity of birds. I think they're so fascinating. I had a biology teacher that turned me on to like the study of birds, specifically their patterns, and how like tracking their patterns year after year says a lot about the climate and the state of our world, or our environment. And also just, I don't know, just there's so much to learn from them, and they're also like the closest relative to dinosaurs.
Yeah. True story.
But Birdgherl came from this Anthony and the Johnsons song. This, even the way I spell it, I think. I don't know. It's a very sad song, and it resonated, and I was like, that's me. I'm a Birdgherl.
Okay. I like it. I dig it. They do. The birds do have this kind of. Also, they're like the spiritual messengers too. Yeah. The birds between the realms, not just messengers of the climate and the state of this world, the earth, tierra, but like also just like the different realms, the state of everything. It tells you about the spiritual. Like you might see a bird send you a message, just like, okay, I feel like I might need to go.
Yeah.
Or I might need to. I don't know. I just feel something from it.
Yeah.
Those type of things.
And then also like the fact that they can also be shapeshifters.
Yeah. Yeah, like Oshun. I don't know if you're familiar with Ifa.
Yeah.
I know that. So Oshun, like from the vulture being the peacock, and the vulture, there's the whole Pataki, the little story about her being the peacock, and then the messenger flying up to get trying to bring God down to reach us, and turn into a vulture from flying too close to the sun and all that type of stuff, with feathers being burned off. And like they say that maybe in like some witching hour, if you out, you might see a crow or a vulture turn into a woman.
Yeah.
Shape-shifting.
Yeah, they're magical. Also, Conference of the Birds, if you haven't read that yet.
Conference of the Birds, a book?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll look into that.
It's a Sufi writer.
I love Sufi things. Yeah, that's my ancestral religion.
Nice.
One of them. But anyways, okay, great. Birdgherl, I like it. And I gotta look up that song too. But thank you for your time. We talked about a lot of different things. Did you have any questions for me before we end out? That like burning that you have to get out right now? I don't know.
Yes, but
I sound like I'm full of myself. Oh, okay. That's fine too.
I don't know if you want to share it. I was curious about your age.
My age?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm 31.
Oh, okay.
How old did you think I was?
I don't know.
This is always a thing too, because like I think I said this in one of my 2 other interviews where we were talking about age and stuff. I just always, and I kind of have pride in that I look younger than I am.
Yeah.
But I also don't. I'm like, I don't really care. It is what it is. I'm blessed with that, I guess.
Yeah.
That's just my walk in this life. Just look younger than I am.
Yeah.
But yeah, 31. Cool.
Yeah.
That was the burning question. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, and what's your sign?
Oh yeah, you're Taurus, right?
Yeah.
I figured that. No, that's a great thing. Isn't Kaylani a Taurus too? And you kind of remind me of her a little bit. Do you get that a lot?
No.
You don't like Kaylani?
I love Kaylani, but I would not compare myself to her.
No, I mean, I say you kind of remind me of her a little bit.
Okay.
Is that okay?
I'll take a little bit. I'll take any because she's a badass, but
yeah, she's pretty bad, man.
I don't know that
she's
I'm
dope
at that level.
Yeah, no, you're a different type of person. You know, Taurus. You have a different walk.
Yeah.
But you remind me of her a little bit. But my sign. I hope the camera cuts off while I'm saying this. No, I'm joking. But yeah, it's so I believe, I study astrology. I'm in that heavy and deep, and so it's different. Have you watched any of the interviews?
Yes.
You have? Did you get into the one where we talk about my sign?
No.
Okay, because I didn't talk about it. It cut off. And I was getting into it. And I was saying how I'm into all of the different. So there's sidereal, the Vedic. You do know about that one?
Ayurvedic?
Yeah, no, not Ayurvedic, but just Vedic.
Oh, Vedic.
But it's the Southeast Asian study of the astrology.
Okay.
So it's an ancient practice. I always say that I really deeply. I think that it's more accurate. With the person as they evolve, they might become more of whatever the placements are in that particular chart reading. But the Western that you're used to, that's tropical. So you got the sidereal or sidereal, Vedic, and the tropical Western. And so the one that you're a Taurus in the tropical Western, I'm a Pisces in that one. And then Aquarius in the sidereal, sidereal one. And I resonate more with the Aquarian one now. When I was younger, Piscean for sure, but I still feel that I'm still gonna be a Pisces through and through.
Yeah.
But yeah, Pisces, Aquarius. So I'm a Piscean Aquarius, and then Sun, Moon is you know about the moons and all of that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the Moon, I'm a Cancerian Gemini Moon, so Gemini in the sidereals, and then and then rising Arian Taurus rising.
Wow. That's a good. Actually, you do feel like both Aquarius and Pisces. I can definitely see Cancer. Gemini, maybe. Yeah, the creative side of Gemini, I think.
Yeah, and I'm like so dual. People think they see me and they know me. I switch up. I can switch up very easily.
I love that.
Yeah. And then for you, what's your moon and rising?
I'm a Pisces moon and a Cancer rising.
That's a very nice chart. We got some nice charts, don't we? We're so harmonious within ourselves. Like we're just yes.
We've been blessed.
Yes.
In
Look
this
at
lifetime.
This. So we gravitated not only because of the people that we had the same, that were in our circle, the connection, through that and all that, but we also just, tribe finds itself, we had found each other because of that, too. So it's a beautiful thing. Yeah.
Thanks so much for asking me to do this.
Absolutely. Thank you for doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I was looking forward to it. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. All right.